you're not tripping. You are tripping. When you have ADHD, you have two simultaneous and contradictory problems. Due to the way that dopamine in our brain works, you are more sensitive and you get less of it, which means that you have this paradoxical set of symptoms where you are often understimulated and then also often overstimulated. And let me tell you, personally, I've sort of realized that these two things, they screw up your life. And we now live in a world that is so stimulating that you can actually wind up chronically overstimulated. I've been there, it's really ugly. And what's crazy is when you are chronically overstimulated, you don't have the mental bandwidth to realize it. You will literally walk around thinking that you're fine, and you're just like coping so hard. Then on the contrary, some of you are completely understimulated most of the time. But really, most of you probably bounce back and forth between both. And the symptoms of overstimulation are basically just anxiety. It's like you're going to be really anxious, you're not going to be able to think straight, you're going to feel like your RAM is like even less than normal because it's full. That's why you're overstimulated. Your working memory is like shot. You're going to get emotional when you try to do pretty much anything. And if you have chronic overstimulation, you may have learned to just deal with this. And it's like you're basically upping the pain game and you're kind of constantly in a dark dopaminergic flow. That's another video. But for you, it's like the pain is literally the fuel that you're running off. Or it's like, oh, this is fine. Like the house is on fire in the background. That like that image, that's what's going on. And being understimulated is not much better, because what this actually looks like is you're going to be walking around, you're going to be emotional, you're going to be stimming really freaking hard, maybe pacing all the time. You won't be able to think straight. You'll have literally like no focus at all. And so these are not good states to be working in. And these are not good states to be living in. And everybody with ADHD leans more towards one or the other. Me personally, I get overstimulated much easier than a lot of other people with ADHD. For whatever reason, I'm pretty sensitive. But I also know people who are like chronically understimulated, where it's like they can't get enough stimulation. But really, if you want to excel when you have ADHD, you need to kind of learn how to game this. You need to understand, okay, when am I overstimulated? What do I do about it? And when am I understimulated? And what do I do about it? It's not always just about dopamine. In fact, you can kind of think as your dopamine as like your mana bar, and it's like a separate stat. It is inherently tied to these, but it's kind of different. At least that's how it feels when you bring momentum into play. You got to learn how to play your playstyle. You got to learn how to manage these debuffs and learn how to control your mana bar and make sure that you're not spending too much mana at a time, and make sure you're not understimulating yourself or overstimulating yourself. Which you're going to waver, you're going to go up and down, but if you know how to respond, you can pivot and you can go back and forth instead of having massive spikes, which ultimately lead to you getting burnt out, and then you don't get anything done. So I'm going to give you a few tips on what to do when you are understimulated or overstimulated. First step is you got to do a check-in. Whenever there is a problem, first thing you got to do is do a check-in. You got to ask yourself, okay, how am I feeling? Am I understimulated or am I overstimulated? And the way you're going to be able to tell is if you feel stressed or if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel emotional and like it's all too much and it's like, oh no, I can't do it, you're probably overstimulated. And you need to be careful, because the temptation when you're overstimulated is to reach for something stimulating to distract you. But you're already overstimulated. So this is a huge, huge no-no. And what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to numb your awareness, because the more overstimulated and stressed out you are, the more your awareness tanks, which all addictions thrive off of unawareness. But you know, when you're overstimulated and you reach for that YouTube Shorts, which you shouldn't have that on your phone when you have ADHD. You literally shouldn't even have the ability to do that, by the way. Install NewPipe. But you go to do something overstimulating when you're already overstimulated, it's not going to help you. It's going to make things worse, and it's going to be a vicious cycle that leads back into itself. But honestly, I really don't have to tell you how being overstimulated feels. You know what it feels like when the stress of a deadline is looming over your head. That's what it feels like. Now, understimulation is a little bit more tricky, because it can kind of seem like overstimulation in a lot of ways, but the way I would describe understimulation is it almost feels like an itch. It's like you can't stop moving. You keep standing up and pacing when you're supposed to be working. You're bored. That's a huge one. If you're bored, you're probably understimulated. And if you keep seeking out extreme things, where it's like, man, I really want to listen to like heavy metal right now, or I really want to listen to XYZ, or I'm having these like really intense, strong emotions and feelings, and it's like I want to go work out, but I'm not doing it. That means you're understimulated. And what's happening here is you actually don't have enough dopamine. And so what you need to do is you need to find something that scratches the itch, gives you a little bit of dopamine. And what you need to do is you need to ride an emotional intensity wave that goes upward. If you're understimulated, you need to figure out a way to make an emotional wave that brings you down into a more calm state. And so this will look like taking a break. Might also look like taking a nap. Might also just look like some 4-7-8 breathing, which is a breathing technique that Marines and the old samurai would use, where you inhale for 4. So I actually want you to do this with me right now. So I'm gonna guide you through this, and we're gonna do it together. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. Inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Out for 8. And that should all be done in your diaphragm. If you don't know what breathing from your diaphragm is, you need to look that up. But you might have noticed that these time intervals in specific, when you breathe, when you hit each of these, you actually feel more calm. It's like a 3-stage calming effect. And so then you can use this over and over, stack it on itself. And when you're overstimulated, you have a temptation of like, oh, I'm too impatient for that. And this is not something that you should be doing if you're understimulated. If you're understimulated, you need to be doing things that are not going to calm you down, but get you more fired up and harness that. But if you're overstimulated, you can use this to help you calm down. And one of the symptoms of ADHD is emotional dysregulation. You need to realize that and overcompensate your ability to calm down and to stop it from happening. Because you still have the same responsibility as everybody else, as just like, okay, you need to be chill, but it's genuinely harder for you. So you need to overcompensate the strength. You need to learn how to meditate. You need to learn this 4-7-8 breathing and learn how to use it on command. You need to learn how to do a check-in. You need to come up with support systems. Maybe that looks like an emotional support animal. Or hell, for some of you, maybe a stuffed animal. And if you're understimulated, what these support items look like is it might look like a fidget. And you know, if people at work don't like it, you can explain this to them. If you're not allowed to have a fidget or it's too distracting for other people, what you can do is you can twirl a pen. I'll click pens a lot. Another thing you can do is wear a rubber band or a hair tie on your wrist, and you can like kind of pull it out and snap it back like that, which there's a tip if you don't have a lanyard, just like get a hair tie and tie your key to it. But what that does, that releases endorphins, and the pain is a source of stimulation. And so that will create a calming effect if you are understimulated. Another thing that helps if you're understimulated is chewing some gum. Just having gum on you. For me, I have to put it in a place where I can't see it, where I have to like mentally check in, say, okay, I'm understimulated. Let me go get some gum. Because if I have it on me, I will literally chew it all. And that is, as an ADHD thing, it's like we don't have any chill. If you put something like with dopamine in front of us, we are going to consume it. That's how you need to think about it. You don't have the self-control. Or you might, but it's much more taxing on you to have self-control than it is a normal person. So the way you need to think about your life is don't try to use effort. Try to build systems that do it for you. You are genuinely debuffed in so many ways. You have a lot of nerfs going on. And so the way that you overcompensate for that is by creating your own buffs that work better than a neurotypical brain. Neurotypical may not have this problem, but they might suddenly have a day where they're really stressed and then they eat a bunch of gum. But you won't have that problem because you put it in a place where you can't see it and you have to go intentionally grab it. This is why ADHD is a blessing. It's just a difficult blessing. You gotta actually care enough to try and put in the effort and do these things. Now, sometimes when you're understimulated or overstimulated, you're not moving, like you're not doing anything. When you're understimulated, you need to be moving, you need to be doing something. But we'll sometimes get what we call the stucks, where it's like whether in either state, we just sit there and we're just not doing anything. And really what's happening is you're being completely bullied by resistance. And all you need to do to overcome resistance is just be aware of it. Say, hey, that's resistance, I'm not moving. The moment you become aware, you wake up your ACC, which is a part of your brain, which is like the alarm bell for the CEO part of your brain, which is usually sleeping when you have ADHD. It's awake in normal people, but it's usually sleeping. So you have to ring this alarm bell by, guess what, doing the check-in where you become more aware of your internal state. Am I overstimulated? Am I understimulated? How am I feeling? What's going on? Watch your thoughts. Don't try to control them. Just watch them. This will wake up the ACC, and the ACC will wake up the CEO. When the CEO wakes up, he punches resistance in the face. The resistance literally can't do anything when he wakes up. If you're understimulated, what I recommend doing if you need to get some deep work done is watch a emotional and stimulating video before your work, and tie your why as to why you're doing the work before you do this. It could be a song. I have a song that I listen to when I go into deep work on the days that I'm understimulated. If you're overstimulated, what I recommend doing is you may still need like a low-level stimulation. So you can start in silence, take some deep breaths, and instead of trying to light yourself ablaze, just say, okay, we're going to have a really calm, chill workflow. And that is the goal. I don't know how much we're going to get done. We're just going to see what happens. There's not going to be any metric we're trying to hit because that's going to be overstimulating. We're just going to sit here and burn through the tasks. What you can do is you can listen to some calming rain sounds or some fire, basically just some ASMR of some type, because ASMR will activate certain parts of your brains to help you calm down and let go. But you may be too overstimulated for this. If you're really overstimulated, you may just need to sit in silence, and it's going to hurt and it's going to be like, but it's okay. You just do it for a second. You just do it for a second. Then you can turn on the fire ASMR, and then you're in your chill workflow, you're getting dopamine hits. It's like, oh, here we go. Sorry if that was a little scattered. I'm a little understimulated right now, and that's what it looks like. You'll kind of bounce all over the place. This is where we get hyper. And sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes you feel really good. Other times, if you're downward spiraling, it'll be like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? I need to do more in my life, or it's going to fall apart, or just silly. But I hope this helped you. If it helped you, go ahead and like, subscribe for more content like this. Share it with somebody who you think might need this. Do all the things that juice up the algorithm so that this gets sent to more people. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. That's actually the most important stat, so that helps a ton, and I really appreciate it. Go ahead and do a check-in right as this video ends.